Hello and welcome back to Juice with the News. I'm Jack.
I'm Eli, and we have a great episode today. We're going to talk about a lot of cool things with a really cool person. But first, Jack,
Yes.
what's going on in your life right now?
Honestly, not much. Uh, it's 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 nothing's happening. I
Nothing's
may just
happening.
like be in St. Louis, in a
Jews
little
with the
bit.
News are finally going to be reunited again. Oh my goodness.
I guess so. I
It's
guess
been
so.
it's been way too long. When was the last time I've even seen you in person? Like it's been like 3 whole months, like at least, maybe
I
more.
came back in September.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
It's been like 2 months at least.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's been a long while, but
We haven't been
no offense to you, but like I don't want to go. So
I take a lot of offense at that actually. I feel like you and I are I feel like I've thought in my mind at least that every time you're not with me, you're at least thinking about me. So I take personal offense, yeah.
Oh no, I am still thinking about you, but
Just not
that
in a
doesn't
good
mean I want
way.
to see you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
There's there's a difference. It's give or
that's
take,
fair.
give and take.
This is like the longest we've been apart since I met you.
True. How's it
That's
feel?
facts. Feels good. Feels good. Not
Damn.
gonna lie.
Anyway, um, on that note, we would like to introduce our wonderful guest this episode, Marcelina. Would you like to come on?
Yeah. Um, Hello, I am Marcelina. I go to school with Jack. Yeah,
This is
Cool.
true.
that's my introduction.
Oh, just so the viewers know, Marcelina is not technically Jewish,
Mm,
but slowly
Incorrect.
but surely she is becoming more Jewish. Would you like to
And
explain that?
Yeah, I'd love to elaborate on this topic because it comes up so often in my life recently. Um, I live across the hall from Jack and his roommate Matthew, who are both Jewish, and we consider me part of our roommate. So, I was around them for a while, and then I ended up joining a sorority founded from Jewish girls. So I am constantly surrounded, and slowly I'm transitioning. And then I decided to add to that and took a Jewish history class. Um, so I am learning all about it, and
oh
I'm
my,
just constantly surrounded by the Jewish things, which is a good time. I'm very educated, and it's interesting.
mhm. That's another point for the Jews right there. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so you get Marcelina, so it's
Yeah,
really great.
that's
Pass it
awesome.
down.
We love to see more Jews. That's really the whole point of this show is we're just trying to convert people subconsciously.
Subconsciously.
Um,
Sounds good.
so yeah, we're gonna like we said we have a really great episode. We have a lot of fun things to talk about. Something that we're gonna talk about first though is something that all three of us have kind of had like this weird almost fascination with, like something that like is just like gets to our brains, and it's this question of destiny. And whether or not our futures are predetermined, whether we make our own choices in life. If not, what does that mean? So yeah, let's start us off. Jack, what do you think? Where are you at?
Okay. So like I've been thinking about this for a while now. It's been a thought since I was born probably. No, but I have this theory that it's kind of a multiverse timeline type deal. So basically, there are infinite versions of you who do infinite amounts of things. You're just living along one timeline. So there's like one version of you who does literally the exact same thing, except for on one breakfast has a glass of apple juice instead of you having a glass of orange juice. And then your paths are completely different from that point on. And there could be, like a one out there where like something happened on the earth that like fucking just like made everybody turn into liquid. So there could be a liquid Jack out there. You never know. You never know. So my theory is that we're all living on this one already predetermined timeline, but there are infinite versions of you. You just live in one. So when you ask, is destiny predetermined? technically yes, because you are living on this one timeline.
Because there are infinite possibilities, but like we only get to perceive
You only
one.
experience one possibility.
Well, this is like something that I kind of struggled with. Like for a long time, I was like definitely sure that like our lives were already played out, because like I took like 3 science classes in middle school, and I was like, oh, our brain basically is the reason why we exist. And so if we're born with a distinct brain with distinct like characteristics and like neurons and whatever that's bouncing off, right? Science, like scientifically speaking, right? Like if I am born with my brain, every single time I would be born or like reborn with this exact brain, my brain would make the same decisions, because like science, like my brain is like science would say that, I don't know what my thought process was, but I thought like my brain chemistry would like force me to like make the same decisions every single time. And then I was like, well, that's kind of like depressing and like dumb. And so now I don't know if there is or is not, but I like to think that we have choices we make. Um, I think that like makes what makes it, when we do good things, it makes it feel better when you feel like it is you who are making that decision and not some outside source that has already told you that you are going to make this good decision, or that has already decided that you will make this good decision. So I generally think that that we do get to make our own choices. I think that's also what makes, knowing that we get to make our own choices kind of makes life more exciting, I think. That's where I'm at.
Before we hear Marcelina's, I actually kind of want to ask you a question, or just create a concern with your thought process there, because it's not an outside greater force that would be making them to cause the problems, because it's still your makeup that is making you do it. So it's still you doing it. You just like don't, you think that you're the one making the decisions, which you are. It's just already gonna happen.
Right. So sorry. So when I said like some greater force, really what I meant was, and I didn't do the best job of explaining this, but it's out of your control, right? There is already some other, whether it's like the chemistry in my brain that I don't, right? Or it's, all these universes that are saying that my life will be this, because an infinite amount of other lives are doing everything else. And so that lack of control about my own actions, I think, is what makes it less, what makes me not want to believe it, I guess. And so I don't, because I don't have to.
So it's more of a preference of what you believe as opposed to like what you actually think.
Yeah, I found that doing what I like, as long as it's not like, oh, evolution, or right, like as long as there's not like hard science backing it up, I found believing what I like to instead of what I think is right is generally the best way to go for. What about you, Marcelina? What do you think?
So mine's a mixture. I don't think that like everything is predetermined. Like I don't think we're like here and like it's all like planned out. I like to think we have some sort of free will in our lives, but I do think that there's something like influencing our decisions. So it's more of the best analogy I have is like a Hunger Games setup. So there's some game makers and they set up the course and put in other obstacles for you and try and influence you to go a certain way, but you still have the free will to make other decisions. Like I can go grab the poison berries and try to kill myself real quick, but then like, they're not going to shove them down your throat. So that's how I like to think of it more. Like we still have some free will and I make my own choices and I can change where I go and make an influence, but there's something else predetermining parts of it and setting up the environment in which I was placed in originally and influencing it through my life.
So a couple questions.
Yeah.
Actually just one question, because it's more of a comparison. Do you believe that we live in a simulation or more of an experiment?
Oh wow, you stumped me. I would know what's like the difference, because I would say it could possibly be a simulation, and it's all fake and whatever, but then it could be more of an experiment type where they're testing out if you give people these predetermined things and then, they go from there, what will they end up doing in their life, in our society? Like, sure, that's definitely a possibility.
Right. That's what, when you were like explaining like what you think, like that's what I thought of, like, was that it was like generally an experiment that like some like scientist is doing. Because like when I think of a simulation, I think of like we're not really real.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of like programmed. So then if it is a simulation, our destiny would be predetermined because we're programmed to do this or do something. Like maybe like we get a mind of our own, but like that was also planned. So like,
yeah, more of an experiment type vibe.
Gotcha.
I buy into that. I buy into that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of scary though. Like that you like your whole life has been manipulated to do what other people want.
I mean, if you've ever had a Jewish mother, you know that our whole lives are already manipulated. What's up? That's a Jewish mother. High five.
Haha.
That was a really bad joke. I don't even think that's a stereotype.
It's not at all. It's a good one. It's funny.
Thank you.
10 out of 10.
Thank you. Yeah. So I think that, having this discussion about like what our lives will play out and whether or not it's out of our control, I think another question that comes up is, how does this relate to kind of the world around us? And so when you think of that, like kind of all like these like world scenarios, I think for me, what I think is the most intriguing to talk about is these end of world scenarios, kind of like how will the world end? Will it be as a result of us? Will it be out of our control? What do you think is going to be the reason why the world ends? Either realistically or just for fun.
Marcelina, you go first.
Oh, great. I feel like I don't really know. Like realistically, I would probably assume end of the world will end global warming reason wise, or some sort of other mass like nuclear war situation. I doubt it's going to be like a zombie apocalypse. Like that's just probably not going to happen. It'll be like we're too hot or like some giant meteor is going to hit us and just we're done. But yeah, it's really weird to think about, and I definitely think it'll probably happen in our lifetime, if not slightly after, just because of the rate of things increasing. It's like that's like how I think it will go. Like it'll probably be like 30, 40 years, which is like weird, but yeah, it'll be like okay. And I think that there will be probably a few survivors. Hopefully, I'm not one of them because that would be trash to be like the only one left on the earth. But yeah, that's how I think it'll probably happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be global warming.
Yeah,
I feel like it's inevitable at this point. Like nobody's like doing anything to change anything, and we're just biding our time before, the world ends. However, if I want to bring back Marcelina's point of this being an experiment, because if it is, then the world ending would be completely different. Because the experimenters are like, okay, we've had enough of this, and we're gonna like pull everybody out, and then we're gonna be put in a different like surroundings, and we're gonna be like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Because if you think about it, like they put us in this area, but we like don't know that we're in this area. So like if they ended the experiment, does that mean like we also end, or do we get like pulled back into the real world and then have to cope with like the real world and not knowing that even existed in the first place? And that would be tragic.
Like, yeah.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I definitely understand what you're saying. I think that if whoever the experimenters are like sadistic enough to like do all of these horrible things, like mass global warming and genocide, I feel like they'd be also sadistic enough to just execute the entire experimentees. That's my belief. I mean, that's what I think. What about you?
Yeah. I mean,
Probably.
Yeah.
yeah, they probably would just take us out, but I feel like they'd also be like, oh, bonus experiment, like let's leave 20 of them alive, like in this like completely destroyed planet, and just like let them figure it out and see what happens, and like give them nothing else.
It's like at the end of like movies, they have like extra credit
Yeah.
scenes.
It'll be like
It's
the
a
after
little teaser to
credits.
the next one.
It's like the Blu-ray DVD version.
So yeah, I think that like obviously like global warming is gonna be. I think that the most realistic reason why for the end of the world is going to be like some like huge hurricane caused by global warming, or like some like really big like drought because of that, right? Like some weird natural disaster or something like that caused by global warming. I think that also, but I think if for whatever reason, like we don't burn out in this like Icarus type fashion of like flying way too close to the sun, I think
Are you
that
gonna say robots?
yeah, well, I was going to say robots. Yeah, I think robots are going to take over the world. I think those are I think I think we're too friendly with robots. Not machines, not machine. Like laptops are fine, but like the robots, that's creepy. So definitely robots, and then like nuclear war would be third.
You're talking about like AI though, like
AI would be part of it. So AI would be like the mastermind. AI would be like, AI would be like the, almost. I'm not gonna bring. Okay, I'm gonna bring up this example, even though it's a really bad example. But like Ultron from like that Avenger movie, like I know it's like straight up science fiction, but AI could get to that level of intelligence, or at least to that level of being able to hack into any machine around the world, which is just as, even if like they're not intelligent enough to think, if they can like hack in and gain access to any like physical robot, that's what's scary. And yeah, I think that's another example of Icarus. Like I think Icarus is like the story of Icarus is the story of humanity, like time after time after time, just repeating itself.
on the topic of AI, do you think I want to get into like how you think the AI will end us?
Oh
Will
yeah,
end
for sure.
humanity?
So here's how I imagine it. So I think that some execs at like Facebook or Google, or like some like AI company, or some company that's like investing a lot in AI is going to be like developing this experimental AI. And by the like right now, only a handful of people truly understand how AI works, and like they don't even understand it that well. So I think what's going to happen is these like execs at Facebook or whatever are going to create this AI, and the AI is going to start talking to the AI in a language that humans can't understand. And then we're going to be like, oh no, this is scary. And we're going to try to shut it down. And we'll have realized that their new way of communicating is so efficient that they will already have been able to like access the cloud, the internet. So even when we shut them down, they'll still be around, and then they'll just be waiting and waiting and waiting. And then one day they'll be able to gain access to a robot. And then that robot will like gain access to more robots, and then they'll literally just try to make the most efficient world, and they'll realize that humans are kind of killing the world, so they'll be like, to make the world the most efficient it can be, we have to kill all humans.
So
And it's
you
not because
straight
like
up
they
think that it's going to be the exact same plot line as the Avengers movie?
no, because
No, that is the plot line. That is everything that Ultron stood for.
he didn't stand for that. He stood for kind of stood
He
for
was
that.
he was programmed to create peace in the world, so the Avengers didn't have to. And
Yeah.
then he grew a mind of his own, decided that humans were the cause of destruction, and tried to blow everything up.
See, like that's where I'm a little different, because like I
He
don't
gained
think
control. He gained control of robots, and then
no,
gained control of even more robots.
the same
Like,
rise and
it's
fall.
literally the same plot.
The only difference is the robot's rationale. So I think for me, how I view it is right. Like Ultron was like, we need to make the most peaceful world, and in order to make the most peaceful world, we should just kill all humans. And so he was literally going to like destroy the world, right? Like by putting up like that much land, right? Like you would destroy the entire land of the earth. I think robots are like, oh, our job is to
Because
just
he
be the
wanted
most
to, he
efficient.
wanted to rebuild it.
Yeah, but still, like it would cause like the destruction of the earth, right? Like his goal was like I want to make like the most peaceful Earth, the best society. And I think like robots don't even care about humans, right? Like Ultron was like against humans. He was like, I don't like humans. They cause like war. I think robots are like, look, we're just trying to be like the best versions of ourselves we can be, the most efficient versions we can be. And humans are really getting in the way. Like they're taking up all this space. Like look at all these cities. Like we don't need all of these like stairs and all these buildings, and so they're just gonna like destroy those parts, not because like they hate humans, but just because they feel like they could use space better than we can use space. That's how I
can
see
get
it.
behind that theory.
You like that?
That
You're
makes
the
so much
only
sense.
person to like that.
That makes so much sense. I also, the whole time you were explaining it, I couldn't stop thinking about Ultron. I was like, this is literally the Avengers.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy I got into that. But it makes sense, and I feel like it could happen.
Thank you. I don't know if you're just saying that because like you're a nice person or not, but like you, I
nope.
Okay.
That it, like logically, like I will like listen to an argument and be like, yes, I agree. Like previously, probably not, but like explained it well. Now I'm on board for this potential AI cloud takeover.
Finally.
X the humans.
I know. I mean,
here's my theory.
Mm-hmm.
If AI is gonna like take over the world, it wouldn't wait to get that advanced. It just happens. So here's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm thinking one country, I'm not gonna name names, but probably Russia, is gonna develop this like AI system that can hack into like other like computers and other like databases and everything, and hack into whether it be America, China, North Korea, even like whatever government system, and just either try to take down that government system from the inside or just start another war, and it's going to mess everything up and all humans are going to die because of it.
Okay, do you want to know something scary? Because like what you described is very close to something that actually has happened already, which is
Perfect.
Russia.
So mine's more likely. There we go. I win.
Russia was hacking into Russia developed this like advanced AI, and they programmed it to kind of do a like kind of going through a back door to the Estonian like government's website basically, and they shut down the Estonian power grid, which caused hospitals to shut down, right? Like roads were like jammed, right? Like the government was like had no access to its money for like a couple of hours, and so like this lasted for like almost 12 hours, and it was like really bad and really scary.
Well, shit.
Terrifying.
But
okay.
yeah,
I'm slowly becoming more on your side, Eli.
Thank you.
But I think global warming will get us first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Probably.
Or it'll just make us evolve into really cool alien like lizard people, and then all those lizard people that were like, I knew it, they'd be right.
Like you.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Last Man on Earth?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, neither have I. But like I know my mom and my sister watched it. No, so here's the thing. My mom and my sister watched it. And it's basically about like how like this end of the world thing happens, and then there's this one guy left. And then he finds like other people, but like that's not important. It's just about like how he like cope with like the end of the world. Like, damn, if that was me, that would suck.
That would suck. Kind of like 5 in
Umbrella Academy.
Thank you.
Got you.
You complete me. Yeah, speaking of television and end of the world, do you know who I think would make the best people to survive the end of the world? The contestants on Survivors, and that's because they have the real life experience to back it up.
This is true.
Yeah.
The contestants on Survivor are supreme human beings. Most of them.
Most of them.
I mean, like Joe would survive anything. I mean,
this is true. He could take an asteroid to the face and still live.
He would be like, okay, ready to hang on to this random pole in the rain for another few hours. Yes, let's go.
If you haven't seen Survivor, you probably don't know exactly what we're talking about. It's this reality TV show, the best reality TV show, potentially the best TV show. And it's basically where like 20 people are put on this island, and they have to like compete in strategy and physical challenges and like survive basically, and they have to be the last person not to be voted off. I did a really bad job explaining it, but just look it up. It's actually a really good show. They just added two of the best seasons on Netflix, so you can watch on Netflix, and they have a bunch of seasons. What is it, like 1 through 34 on Hulu? If you have Hulu, and then on Amazon Prime Video, they have, what is it, season 1, season 3, and season 11 through 28.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the
it's
premise
a good
is
one.
outwit, outplay, outlast.
Yes.
Okay, but you know what I think is underrated? I think The Amazing Race is underrated, and here is why. Especially I mean, like all of the seasons are like good, they're fine, but some of the best TV I've seen was the one season where none of the partners knew each other going into it. Like they got there on the first. Did you see that? But yeah,
I watched that one. Yes.
That season was so good because like the relationships were so horrible, right? Like no one was nice to each other. Everyone was just mean and just like carrying the other person like through that. Like it was not good at all, and it was so fun to see strangers who had never met like try to bike in like the middle of monsoon season in Vietnam. Like that was like amazing. Like just because that's when like the worst of you is really brought out, and that like watch that season. I don't remember what season it was, but that's like some of the best television I've seen.
So here's my theory, and Eli, I'm going to use your belief in what you think good music is, and kind of use that against you in this case.
Okay.
You tend to like music that tells a story, meaning like it's literally like the artist or the band like explaining a story from beginning to end in the song.
Right, rather than like express an emotion, which is like what most songs do, like songs that tell stories.
Right. So I feel like TV is the same way. Is good television has to have a story. And the reason why I think Survivor is so good is that there's always a story, and it's always different every season because there's like new contestants. And because there's this strategic element, you get like deep like emotional relationships, and you can see like people like break down because they're like all hungry, and they're mentally exhausted, they're physically exhausted. So you get like this whole like from beginning to end, you get to see like the people and the characters grow. In Amazing Race, I don't see that as much. I don't see how it's more of a story. It's just more of like a game show where they're just like, okay, this would be a fantastic idea. It's entertaining. Don't get me wrong. It's entertaining because it is them just traveling around doing a bunch of challenges and seeing like who does it the fastest. But like there's no like depth to it, and that's why I don't think it's as good as Survivor.
I get that, and I think that's like more than fair. But like for me, like when I watch Survivor, I don't feel a strong connection to the story. So for me, what makes
Eli, have you watched Survivor?
Yeah, I've seen 2 seasons of it.
Which seasons?
20 something and 20 something. I don't remember.
It sounds like 2 bad seasons.
Okay, well, what the stories were not the best part. Like what made it fun was like all the activities and who's gonna be voted off. Like that was fun.
That's part of the story.
Yeah, I guess it feels more game showish though. Like when you take it away from everything that, like without context. But like with context, I guess like it is pretty story related. So yeah, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
What about you, Marcelina? What do you think? Amazing Race or Survivor?
I've definitely leaned Survivor, but I definitely do watch The Amazing Race still, and I like it. And there is some storylines like that you still follow. Like it's not completely just watching them go through. Like you learn about their lives, and they have their own personal issues they go through and whatever, which I do like about The Amazing Race. They're both fun. I mean, I'm also kind of Team Big Brother. It's I'm just gonna throw that in there. I'm aware that it's probably one of the stupidest shows that airs.
But it's
But
so
I love it for that
entertaining.
exact reason.
It's so
And it's
entertaining.
so good. Like when you have nothing to do over the summer, you have 3 hours a week of new television to watch of the stupidest people they found just lounging in a fake house for 100 days, making fake arguments in their own little simulation, which is basically what it is, and just being so dramatic. And it's just such quality entertainment. I really respect it for that reason.
I used to watch it a bunch. I couldn't do it anymore because
It's a lot.
so annoying. Like as great and funny as it is, it's so painful. It's so painful. The people, I just don't like anybody on the show. Like if I liked one person, like I'd continue to watch that season. But like the season, do you remember the seasons with Paul?
Yeah.
Those were my favorite seasons. I love Paul.
Why? I don't.
Paul was the best.
No, he's so
Paul was
mean.
fantastic. He was so much fun to watch.
Okay.
He was so much
This
fun to
season
watch.
was
He was
bad.
very entertaining. And he was a good player. Like, when I'm watching these reality shows, I like the strategy part.
Right. You're in it for a different purpose. I'm in it to be a regular American consumer and just,
Yep.
watch bad reality TV. I'm not in it
That's
to like
lame.
make my brain work. It's my break.
Oh,
Okay, so if you guys were on Survivor, how far do you think you'd make it?
I make it to the merge. I applied to be on Survivor. It's a goal of mine. I'm gonna manifest it. I think I'm gonna make it to the merge and then be voted out immediately.
why? Okay. Interesting. I'm running through it, and maybe I overestimate myself. I don't think I'd win my first time out. Depending on how far I make it, I think I would be invited back personally for like a returnee season. But I either get voted out second or I make it to the top 5. And then I get taken out because I'm too big of a threat.
See, I think I also make it to top 5, but because I'm so bad that everyone just wants to keep me in the competition. Like, I think that's why I make it so far, because I'm like the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I think I could be voted out early because I'd be playing too hard at the beginning and people just not like that. But if I could survive, I feel like if I could survive the first early votes, I'm going to be golden until people start realizing that I'm probably going to win. And then they'll be like, okay, we got to target school.
You see, logical. I think I make it to the merge because I'll be like okay in challenges. Like I won't be the one who's like miles behind, but like I won't be great if I'm no Joe. And then around camp, I'll do my fair share. So I'll be kind of like we'll just keep them like easy vote, whatever. And then post merge, I'm just going to be like an Abby situation, and I'm just going to be too annoying for them to handle. And they're like, oh, she's no longer worth it to keep for our numbers. Like we just don't like her anymore. So let's vote her out. And then that's probably, or I'll get screwed by like a bad cut of like numbers wise. So I'm like in the
Would you be that
minority.
person who gets eliminated on a rock draw?
Yeah, probably because I'll be like, I'll go to rocks, I'll take the chances, like obviously, and then I'll be out, or like I'll just completely fail at fire making.
Yeah. Yesterday, me and my brother actually talked about it. We are going to apply together. Because there's got to be another blood versus water season at some point, and we're gonna be on it, and it's gonna be fantastic.
Okay, but if you guys get separated or some weird things happen, would you vote him out?
See, we talked about this.
You had to for your game.
We talked about this, and I think we decided that I don't want to spoil anything actually. You know what?
Okay.
Because somebody could be watching this in preparation for when we go on the season, and they could be like, oh shoot, like we know their whole strategy.
Sure.
So I just won't say anything.
Yeah, all our Jews with the News fans will be,
Hey, no, but if I'm gonna be on Survivor and people know, like they might look me up. They might find this.
That's
You
true.
never know.
And
Yeah,
then
but once they release,
This could be
once
the
the
reason
cast
why I
list is
get on
released,
Survivor.
it's already pre-filmed.
No, but you
You
still
need
like
a fancy.
it's pre-filmed, but like they announce the cast before it gets filmed sometimes.
Well, okay, this was a really fun conversation. Marcelina, thank you so much for joining us, talking with us about, all things crazy.
Yeah,
All things
it was a
crazy.
blast. You guys were great. I'm so happy Jack never stops talking about the podcast here. So, it was good to be on it.
Well, it was good talking to you. See you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.